Hi, today I'm going to show you how to change the batteries in your Infocrank power meter. Now it's not a difficult job, but there are a few points that are worth noting before you start. First of all, batteries. Your Infocrank uses 4 of these SR44 or 357 button batteries, 2 in each crank. Now when you search for them, you're going to see 2 different types, alkaline and silver oxide. Make sure you get the silver oxide ones. The alkaline batteries will only last 2 or 3 days and they're not designed to be used in your Infocrank, whereas the silver oxide will give you about 200 hours of continuous use. Now the only tool you're going to need is a 2mm Allen key, and it's really simple. Put the Allen key into the bolt in the centre of the battery cap, making sure you push it all the way in so you don't round the Allen key or the bolt off, and literally undo it anti-clockwise. Take the battery cover off, and then the battery's out. Now, it's worth having a quick look at the battery cover at this point, and you'll notice that there is a small rubber O-ring around the edge. Now that is what provides the waterproofing and the weatherproofing of your power meter. And what I tend to do is always just give it a quick clean with my finger or a cloth, just to make sure there's no grit on it. And the other thing you'll see is that the battery covers aren't actually symmetrical. There's a small plastic tube, a light tube, which enables you to see the indicator lights from the crank sticking out on one side. Now what that means is this battery cover only fits in one way. If you look carefully at the crank, you'll see there's a small hole that is a receptacle for the light tube on one side. So just make sure you put the battery cover back in the correct way. If you put it around the other way, it is possible to do the bolt up and over tighten it, but you will break either the light tube or the internal workings of the crank, and then you'll need to send it back for a paid repair. So just make sure you put the battery cover around back the right way. Now, putting the batteries back in is simple. There's a small receptacle for each one. Battery cover on the right way around. Allen key all the way into the bolt. Now make sure you don't over tighten this bolt. As you do it up, it will suddenly come to a mechanical stop. Don't tighten it any more than that. As I said, the waterproofing comes from the O-ring and not the pressure with which that bolt is done up. Now you'll notice that you've got a green flashing light here. That's because this crank is in what we call bootloader mode. And to put it into operation mode, you need to get a magnet and rub it across the back of the crank where the sensor is, the back of the sensor, a couple of times, and then the light will stop. Now that crank is now ready to be used. There are some cranks out there that will behave in a different way. This has got version 1 software attached to the internal chip, microchip inside the crank, whereas some of the newer ones have the version 2 software, and that means that the cranks with that software on don't go into bootloader mode. So if you replace the cap or replace the batteries, I'll just take the cap on and off to show you. You get one flash of the green light and then nothing else, no green flashing light. That means this crank is now ready to use. So if you've got version 1 software in your cranks, you'll need to use the magnet, and if you've got version 2 software, you're ready to go as soon as you put the battery cover back on. And that's all there is to it. Remember to get the right batteries, the silver oxide ones. Remember to put the battery cover back in the right way around and never over tighten the bolt. So, best of luck.